Vivek Ramaswamy is an American candidate and a presidential candidate for the USA elections. Recently, while addressing the family leader, which is a forum organized by the Daily Signal, he gave an address. His address was, of course, talking about how he practiced Hinduism. He minced absolutely no words and said, "I'm a proud Hindu." He has shared a lot about the faith he belongs to and his opinion on shared values as well, as there is a lot of anti-Hindu sentiment going around nowadays, and he is not the first leader to be speaking openly about Hinduism. Is it now time that the world starts studying Sanatan Dharma and appreciating how it can solve some of the problems of the world? That's exactly what we will discuss in the next half an hour. Ambassador KP Fabian, former diplomat, joins us on the show. Dr. PSV Rao, consultant surgeon, Manipal Hospital, joins us all the way from Bangalore. Professor Madhav Nalapad, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, also with us on the program. And last but not the least, Professor D.K. Giri, international affairs expert, joining us on the program as well. Professor Nalapad, I'll begin with you. In fact, what Vivek Ramaswamy has said is very closely resembling to what Rishi Sunak also said just a few months ago. This is not a coincidence. This is not an accident that both these leaders have more often than not credited their faith, their belief system in the ambition that they have been able to accomplish despite multitude of odds in these foreign lands.
Well, I'd like to say that Dr. Rao and I were just discussing about the universal donor, O positive. If you're O positive in your blood group, you can donate to anyone. And Sanatan Dharma, in that sense, is a universal set of beliefs. It can apply to anyone. And the true Sanatani is an individual who accepts and who therefore should be accepted. And I think that is the confidence that Vivek Ramaswamy and Rishi Sunak have, that they accept differences, they accept the different labels, different methods of worship, and in the same way, their own chosen methods of worship should also be respected. So I think that kind of an approach is very, very much in line with the teachings of Sanatana Dharma, which is basically saying that there are multiple paths towards the same goal of locating the divine. Locating the divine not just in the divine, but in each of us. There is a little bit of the divine in each of us, and locating that as well. So I think Vivek Ramaswamy is absolutely correct in what he said. And the good news is, frankly, that this has had absolutely no blowback at all. The Republican Party is not the Democratic Party, but the Republican Party seems to be much more tolerant of diversity than the Democratic Party. I mean, I can imagine, for example, some elements of the Democratic Party, what their reaction would have been if Vivek Ramaswamy had been a Democratic Party candidate. It would not have been so, frankly, open. So I think it's good that he is making this point. And it's very, very important for us to remember that Sanatan Dharma is a universal faith. And that universal faith says you can have your own belief systems, you can have your own modes of worship, but you can have a different, lifestyle, etc., diet. But remember that all of us, every single path, if that is intended to lead to the divine, is by definition a worthwhile path to follow. The point is the intention. And I think the basis of the intention has got to be to recognize the humanity in human beings and the oneness in humanity. I think that is what Sanatana Dharma teaches. And I'm glad Vivek Ramaswamy is making absolutely no secret of the fact that he's a proud Sanatan.
Sumit Peer, senior political commentator, also with us on the program. Sumit, for you for long have always advocated that, the credit that Sanatan Dharma gets out of India is very low in nature. Perhaps these leaders are bridging that gap, and perhaps these leaders are making sure that their success stories as well as their ascent to international power and fame can be based on a simple practice of Hinduism, which is backed by Sanatan Dharma.
Many thanks for having me on your show. In fact, Sanatan Dharma is the only dharma. Rest all are panths. We can't call them technically dharmas. They are man religious. Sanatan Dharma is an earth religion. That's a fundamental difference. So we are the only dharma which talks about economy and ecology at the same bit. We have the dharma which worships the 5 elements. What are we talking about? Global warming is basically the balance of 5 elements. We don't take earth for granted. Now earth, we are trying to protect the soil. We don't take water for granted. We don't take wind for granted. We don't take even fire for granted. We even worship the fire. So if you are able to understand the relevance of these 5 elements and have a balance between them, your economy and ecologies can prosper. That's point number 1. Point number 2, we understand the Ganit or the mathematics of dharma karma. What is your dharma going to be and what is the associated karma going to be? We understand at the end of the day, the trial balance has to be 0. I'm trying to correlate the both sides of the story. The trial balance has to be 0 for your balance sheet to look healthy. So when this dharma karma gets into it, when the trial balance is 0, we also understand the concept of janam bhumi and karam bhumi. We also understand the difference between dharma and sabhyata and the panth. So for Vivek Ramaswamy, the janam bhumi is United States of America, the karam bhumi is United States of America, but that dharma which he is connected to is Sanatani dharma which comes from India. But being a Hindu, he says America first. He says, this is my Karam Bhumi, this is my Janam Bhumi, though my roots are from India, but this country comes to me first. That, concept of Pap and Punya, because at the end of the day, you don't carry anything back there. Even everybody goes empty-handed. So like he was talking about, Hunter Biden got $5 billion and we have to send $200 billion to Ukraine in the return of that. So all these things which are eroding the societies, which are eroding the environments, which are eroding this. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, Sarve Santuta Navan Niramaya, Tamsoma Jyotirgmayam. What are these concepts? These are not some concept from an outdated book. Prime Minister Modi in his leadership has shown that they are as relevant as they were around 1,000 years back or around 1 lakh years back. So even in this today, even in this so-called Kali Yuga, if you work on a Sattvic Jivan Shaili, if you work on the Dharma Karma, you can still make it. Satisfaction is not counted by the quantum of money you have and the mansions you live in. It is the positive karma you are creating. It is how you are relevant to the world, how you are changing the lives of the world. So what does Vivek says? I am here to change the lives of the people. I'm not here to make money. I'm not here to go to cut deals with Chinese. I want to make America independent of Chinese influence. So, but what is that? That is the dharma. It's not okay, Chinese can give me money, theek hai bhai, paisa aane do, it's okay. But the dharma says in the long run to protect America, I have to get rid of Chinese influence from America. And that is what he says. Bhagwan Shri Krishna says when you are between the dharma and dharma sankat, we always are. So I learned one thing very interesting from Gita. He says dharma and dharma sankat. So dharma plus sankat becomes dharma sankat. Just remove the word sankat and do whatever the rest is. That is dharma. It's a very simple thing. So what we are seeing, what I've been seeing in Vivek Ramaswamy's debates and all, he's talking pure play dharma. He's talking what the dharma intents him to do. What does the Sanatani believes, inspire him to do, and what does Sanatan tell him to do in such a situation, and he's exactly going to do that because that itself is the dharma. It's not my personal greed. It's not my ambitions. It's not my greed. Mera faida. My son Hunter Biden can make a few $5 billion. It's okay. Let the country go to dogs. So that doesn't what Sanatan Dharma teaches you. So that, and one more thing is there. When it means America, it doesn't necessarily has to be a white man, a Caucasian. Vivek Ramaswamy is as American or anybody else. He exposed Nikki Haley. I think she's a fellow Republican. How she went bankrupt. Then she came back, she became a military contractor with Lockheed Martin, and after becoming a military contractor with Lockheed Martin, she's now a millionaire. So this organized corruption in US, what they call the gravy train, this culture has to stop. The universities have to change. You have to involve more, you have to get more energy into the system, you have to lower the cost of living. For example, the land use, you cannot have, let's say, more than 2 stories. If you increase the FAR, you can have 10 stories. So more and more Americans can have housing. These are the things which in a lobby-driven country, it's a lobby-driven country, wherein somebody is trying to scuttle and dismantle a lot of lobbies. He talked about deep state. He doesn't hesitate to talk about deep state. He talks about the lobbies. And what is his plan going to be to counter that? So you need a person who has that ambition, who is literally the Arjuna. And that Sanatan Dharma is the Bhagwan Krishna who is guiding him what to do and how to do. And this Arjuna is doing what he is supposed to do. It doesn't matter who is standing in front of you because your Dharma is, you have to do what your Dharma tells you to do. So this is a revolutionary change which Vivek Ramaswamy is getting. And who is the change? Where does the change come from? Change comes from the DNA. Change comes from the Sanatan Dharma. Change comes from the values. His, how he has been brought up as an individual. His chachas, his mamas, his buas, all the family, the bigger clan they will have in India or United States of America. This proves one point. Even a Sanatani, born and brought up in America, is as Sanatani, as devout Hindu, as a person like you and me, born and brought up here or possibly living here. I think we need to you were born in UK, if I'm not wrong. So, born and brought up here or living there, we can be a Sanatani. Sanatan is the only beacon which can save the world from the geopolitical disasters we are getting. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is not a philosophy we need. It is the way of sustainability. How to sustain on this planet Earth with the balance of fine elements and control your greed and not exploit people, yet still be happy and prosperous. That is what the world needs today. You don't need this blind capitalism. You don't need this dictators like Xi Jinping. Definitely, you don't need both of them. You need something which is intermediate. And nothing is not granted. We need. मतलब कोई बाप से लिखवा के नहीं लाया धरती और जमीन. You don't own it. You are here to just use it.
You're absolutely right. Ambassador Fabian, do you think that getting to where Vivek Ramaswamy has gotten, and making the kind of money that he has, it would have definitely been difficult for him, to not get carried away by Western culture, and yet here he is, defending the faith, that he loves and appreciates, and in fact gloating about it.
Well, let me put it this way. I do not think it's a good idea to mix religion and politics, because I think there are various religions and in a state, in any state. So for anyone to project his religion above his political mission, as for example, Blinken did it. He went to Israel and said, I am a Jew. Now the point is, he went to Israel as Secretary of State of the United States, not as a Jew. If he sort of mixes up its identity missions, well, there will be trouble, and there has been trouble, as we know. America is punching below its weight in Israel. Okay, so putting your religion above, or rather mixing it up, I repeat, mixing it up with your political mission, well, that is not a good idea. Now, as regards Sanatana Dharma, I think it is high time that we read Aldous Huxley's The Perennial Philosophy, which I think must have been published almost 100 years ago, where he demonstrated that all the higher religions tell us the same thing. So I think a little more of humility, rather than project the impression that my particular religion is perhaps superior to all other religions. I don't think that's a good idea. Now, whether it will fetch him votes or not, we do not know. I saw this sort of interview or a report in Times of India where he says that there are shared values between Hinduism and Christianity. He is right. But, America has other religions. There are Jews there. There are Muslims there. Why he was silent about them? That is why it is important to read The Perennial Philosophy.
All right. Dr. Rao, do you think it's a bad idea to mix religion and politics? Or do you think it's all right to credit the practice that has helped you, honed you, to get this far?
If you strictly speak about religion, it's not a great idea to mix religion with either politics or health or any of these essential education and essential services. But what Vivek Ramaswamy is trying to do is trying to talk about the basic culture of Sanatana Dharma, not necessarily the rituals of Hinduism. He's talking about the basic concepts of Sanatana Dharma, which is, and he's emphasizing the family values, the ethics, etc., which he says he shares with the majority Christian. He is not excluding other religions. He is saying the majority in US are Christians, and he shares their family values and their ethical standards as a Hindu. This is what he is saying. Now, the reason why he is having to emphasize that he is a Hindu is because he is being targeted for being a Hindu. If he was not, so he is having to justify himself. In the process, he is highlighting the values of Hinduism. Now, as far as politics and religion is concerned, like I was saying, there are two, the Western world talks about secularism where they mean that politics and religion should be totally separate. But the concept of secularism that is being followed in India is that you accept each politician follows his own religion, and he sort of accepts that, okay, I will follow my religion, you follow your religion, as long as we don't fight about it and we don't try to say that I am better than you, things are fine. Now, as a person who is very concerned about the environment, what I like about, I myself am a Hindu, and what I like about my religion is that we have traditionally respected the trees, the various aspects of nature, and we have been very concerned about the purity of the Ganges water, the trees, and various other environmental things, elements of nature. The other thing is that in Hinduism there is a sort of diversity. Diversity like it is in nature. Now, the nature doesn't say that you have only one fruit and there is only one variety of fruit. It says, okay, you have multiple fruits, each fruit has multiple varieties. Now, that is the kind of, so this is more like nature. This many people have in the past told me, don't you find your religion very confusing? Too many gods, too many ways of towards God, too many kinds of rituals. My thing is that this is very close to nature. Nature doesn't say there is only one. So we say, okay, anywhere you go, finally we talk, as long as you accept there is a higher power who is guiding you, and you use it to remain ethical, and you are concerned about nature, concerned about your other animals, you are concerned about fellow human beings. This is what the religion is about. No one tells me that I have to go to the temple, I have to do these rituals. I am free to do whatever I want, and still I am accepted as a Hindu. So I like this diversity, this inclusiveness, and this is why many people feel that it is, if all religions had been so inclusive, then we wouldn't have all these problems of religion and politics. And as Sumit already mentioned, see, the main lesson we learn from Bhagavad Gita, from Lord Krishna, is that you do your duty. You don't look about what the what rewards you are going to get. It does two things. It controls your ego, and it controls your greed. These are the two important things that Bhagavad Gita's lesson does to you, and hence you go into sustainable living, and you try to work for humanity, contribute to humanity, which is very true of my profession. We doctors are working 24/7, 365 days to serve humanity. That is our main goal. So as long as we stick to that goal and don't start suffering from ego and from greed, we are contributing to society. And if everyone was to do that, society would be a very peaceful and very progressive.
All right,
now, one other aspect I would like to mention, that this is the oldest culture which seems to have survived all these years. The Greek culture, the Egyptian culture, the Roman culture, and Mesopotamian culture, they have all disappeared. But this has survived, so there must be something good about it, that it has survived. Thank you.
All right, sir. Professor Giri, your thoughts on this interesting debate?
Well, I mean, it's really interesting. But he said, I will make a couple of points. I will not be as excited as Sumitji was and liken him to Arjuna and all that. He's a politician. And you know what Bernard Shaw said about politics, was Jayaprakash Narayan and Gandhi talked about politics. So that's fine. But if he's comfortable with his religion and that has taught him values, that has given him a moral compass, which is very good. You know, he talked about Hinduism, and Sanatana Dharma and Hinduism are different really. That we have to keep in mind. Even our Honorable Governor from Kerala, he said, I'm a Sanatani, being a Muslim. And Sanatana Dharma is about humanism. That includes everybody, all human beings really. So Christians, Hindus, Muslims, everyone is included there. But if we are talking about Hinduism, that is different. And I would like to say what I agree with Ambassador Fabian, that the essential oneness of all religions, really, that we should keep in mind, and that is even scripturally correct. Mahabharata is comparable to Old Testament, and Ramayana is comparable to New Testament. I can tell you the verses in the Bible and Gita which are similar, like word by word. So the religions teach us the same thing. It is the perversion of religion, misuse of misinterpretation of religion that makes things problematic. That is why religion has to be made a private affair and not brought discussed in public. But people are doing it. I am not a secularist like Westerners are. I am a pluralist. I would believe in pluralism. All religions, all identities should be respected. And if the presidential Republican candidate, feels good about Hinduism and it feels morally, spiritually secure with Hinduism, good enough, really. And Sanatana Dharma is a great religion. When you come to Hindutva and Hinduism, this is debatable. But anyway, I would just say that all religions really teach, essentially they are the same and teach good things to all human beings, really. It is the misinterpretation that causes problem. And religion is problematic. There are multiple versions of all religions.
All right, sir.
Christianity,
all right,
Islam,
so we've run out of time. Sumit, quickly, you wanted to make a point. Sumit, quickly.
I just wanted to make 2 points. In an ideal world, I agree with all my fellow panelists, you should not mix politics and religion. But in the times we are living, I have an organization called Hamas who says my charter is to eliminate all the Jews. I have another religion called Islam which says that Dine Akhirat will not come, Qayamat will not come till the time all the Jews are not eliminated. I have a religion which calls, I'll just do jihad because you are a kafir. I'll just come and cut your head because you're a kafir. There's one, my neighbor on my left side, he says, I'll do Ghazwa Hind and I've been trying for last 1300 years because you're Hindus and I have to Islamize your country and I have come to that for 4 times. From the 1st century or the 13th century were people coming one after one dream in mind, Ghazwa Hind. We can say in ideal world it doesn't exist. But when it comes to existential crisis, now what is Hamas doing today? Why is Israel fighting Hamas? Why all the OIC countries get into a room, admit all their differences and say, we will support Hamas because Hamas is Muslim. Tera mera kya rishta, la ilaha illallah. It doesn't matter if they're terrorists. It's okay, they can be terrorists, but they are Muslims.
All right, Sumit. Appreciate everybody joining us on this important debate, but we have run out of time. Appreciate the sentiment. Appreciate the vigor, Sumit. Thank you so much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.